Welcome to Access Sportsnet. Lakers driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. Chris McGee, James Worthy, Robert Oriale Clifton's going to join us in a little bit. The Lakers lose their 11th straight road game. They are now 2-9 since the All-Star break, and they fall 11 games under 500. James, Rob, I know this sounds like a broken record. I know it's hard for you guys to have to break this down because it feels like it's the same thing every single night, but this team is struggling. They got to find a way out.
Yeah, I mean, the struggle is the same. You know, they just don't seem to, get out of the gates that quick, and then they're not playing that well. To start. When they get down, they still are not together. They move the ball sometimes and they get good shots. Then a lot of times they're very stagnant. They're very predictable, and I think teams have caught on to that. They're not afraid of the Lakers anymore. And, without some consistency in your offense or defense, you're very vulnerable. And, I think teams kind of know that about the Lakers now.
I'm trying to think of really what to say because...
You've actually kept it pretty positive these last couple weeks.
Yeah, you watch this team and all of a sudden they give you that excellent third quarter. And you're like, okay, this is the Lakers that we fell in love with. Then all of a sudden, then they flip the script where the ball doesn't move. Everybody says, okay, we got a run going. Let me be the star now. Let me take a bad shot. Let me do this. And you can't have this if you want to be a ball club that wins games. You got to be consistent and stay the course. I think when DJ Augustine came in, he ran that show. He made them run the offense, and they got a little rhythm going. Mm-hmm. He goes out of the game, and we go back to being like, okay, one-on-one basketball, drive and kick. When they're going to get in the head, we're not shooting the ball good from three. So drive it, get some easy buckets. And it's just hard to sometimes to sit here and stay positive and watch this because they keep doing dumb stuff.
Yeah. Listen, you just mentioned shooting the three, 22%. Again tonight, minus 21. But here's what's happening also. I call it the first quarter blues. Lakers getting out of the gate, as you mentioned, big game, James. They continue to dig themselves a hole that is hard to get out of. So check this out. This is the last three first quarters. Phoenix Suns, Toronto Raptors, and tonight against the Timberwolves. The Lakers are 1 for 33 from three. The opponents lead minus 39 in that category. The Lakers have scored 51 points total in those first three quarters. That's an average of only 17 per first. minus 61 total points because the deficits have been the 26 to the Suns, 21 to the Raptors, and 14 to the T-Wolves. Minus 61. Big game, James. So when you look at that and you find yourselves down 14 on up to 26, as I've said countless times, I feel like over the last couple weeks, you almost have to play flawless basketball. Yeah. And it's hard to get back in games. Yes, in the third quarter, they get themselves back in. Props for that. But the way you're starting this game, I don't know how to change it. Yeah. I'm sure Frank Vogel and the staff racking their brains, but it's got to come from the guys.
It's got to come from within. It almost seems like they're giving their opponents a 15-point lead at the beginning of the game, and they're down 0-15 when they start. It's hard to play from behind all the time. Sometimes you're going to get down, but it's a consistent habit with this team. And, I like what Rob said when Augustine came in. He's a true point guard, played for Vogel, knows how to settle down. That one time you saw where he even waved off. Rob saw one time he even waved off LeBron James so they can get into something. They need to believe in one another, too. I just don't think too much one-on-one. And when I see other teams, that ball is moving and stopping. You don't know who's going to get the shot. But with this team, I don't know, man. They're relying a lot on LeBron James to pull them out of it. But I don't think that's the key. You got to use his specialty, but you still got to have a flowing offense and guys involved, and it's just not happening on a nightly basis.
Listen, we're not into burying people when they're down, but it's our job to break down what's happening. And Rob, you've been a player in this league. I think you went to 16 straight playoffs in your 16 years and never lost in the first round. But I'm sure you had moments where your team was sliding. But this, Rob, when the other team basically is saying in that locker room, let's come out and throw a haymaker in the first quarter, and it's over. At what point do you, as a player, in that locker room say, we're not losing this first quarter? Not the game, just that first quarter, because you're just getting blown out.
Because, you have to think of it in a hockey term. You just got to win quarters. And a lot of times, I remember when I was with the Spurs, we had lackluster first quarters for a while. And then we just had to have a meeting and say, yo, dude, we can't be this bad in the first quarter. We too good. We waste too much energy on the comeback. We need in the third and fourth quarter be on cruise control so we can sit and rest our starters and give our bench some conditioning. Because that's basically what it is when the bench comes in. They're conditioned because they're not used to playing all those minutes. So they have to figure out what's wrong. You know how sometimes they have player-only meetings? They need to have a player coaches only meeting. Everybody sits there, and you get to say, hey, we're going to say what we feel, and when we leave here, we're going to let it go. Because you see so many opportunities on that court where guys aren't playing individual D. They put the foot in the paint, and a drive is kicked, and they look at their man and throw a hand up from where they are. I'm like, yo, is that my fault? Yeah, it's your fault because you weren't playing tight enough on your defense, on your man. So there's so many things that you can point out with this team that is the problem. And it's not just, the players, it's the coaching staff, it's the whole damn organization right now because they have no energy, and the first quarter is just like they don't care. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how these first quarters of late look.
I agree with you, Rob. And, it doesn't seem like they're having that type of communication. And that type of communication is very common in sports. Usually teams have, get together 2 or 3 times a year to discuss how they're playing and what they need to do. But what I see with these guys is like after a game, they have their press conference and they come back with the same thing the next game. Press conference. And it's been happening since December. We got to play harder. We got to play defense. We got to move the ball. We've been hearing the same thing. So there's something that's not connected with this team. I mean, there's no connection in the locker room. There's no connection on the floor. It's just a lot of speaking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these are professional athletes. These aren't like amateurs. And professional athletes, they know how to get out of stuff. It might take them a little bit, but they know how to get out of it. And it's not happening right now. They're not having a meeting of the minds, and they're not discussing it, and they're definitely not playing it.
And for me, the frustrating part is you see the potential this team has. It's not like this is a team that we say, okay, we're going to wait for the lottery. We see the potential in this team. We see the talent, and that's the frustrating part, that we see what they can do, but it's just not happening on the court.
That's what I was going to ask you, because 69 games in, I don't know if they've had these team meetings yet. I remember back in that 2012-2013 season, it was our first year as a network, and I remember they had that big team meeting, that big blowout. It happened in Memphis. It leaked out. We found out, and later Antoine was working here, and he told us a lot about it. But it helped that team, and that team went 20-8 down the stretch. I don't know what this team has done. My question to you is going to be, Rob, it just seems like, I mean, is it just not the attention to detail? Is it an effort thing? Are they not good enough? But as you just said, they've shown you enough where the talent is there.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say they're not good enough. And because if they weren't good enough, I wouldn't be this frustrated.
Yeah.
Because you know talent when you see it. And you know if a team's, oh, this is a playoff team. This is a first-round team and out. This team, you look at, and I know we're saying AD is out. None hasn't played all season. They've been up and down with the lineups. Yeah, but still, though, at the end of the day, you have to play basketball regardless if AD's in the game or not. The defense lasts when you're down. When you're down, the defense is good, but the defense needs to be there from Jump Street. You need to be on lock, on point. And for me, as a player right now, I will walk in the locker room and say, yo, everybody has to be accountable. We're not switching anything. This is who you're going to guard. You lock your man up. Unless he's going hot hand, then you get help. And that's going to make guys accountable. Then they can't have an excuse, oh, I thought you was going to switch. Oh, I thought this was going to happen. Now you locked in on your guy, and there's no excuses. You can't get out of that.
Yeah. When it comes to, like, teams meetings and getting together like that, the starters and the guys that play the most need to go sit at one table. And then you have guys like Ellington and Reeves who plays a lot, and guys who are sitting over there watching that, and you let them tell you the truth about what they've been watching. You have to take that. their truth. You can't get upset. The guys on the bench, they know what's happening. And they see it every day, and they're watching it. So that's a hard meeting to have, where you got to sit there and, listen to the guys who are practice players who never get to play, but they know what's going on. They're watching it, and they're listening to it on the bus and on the planes, and that's how you get out of it. And if they're not willing to do that, it's a hard place to go.
Yep.
Or otherwise, you're just going to sell into the play-in and sell on out, and it's going to get, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
How they finish this season.
I just wanted to say before we get to the highlight that Karl Anthony Towns and Edwards were great. They combined for 57 points. Cat was 13 for 13. That team is 9-2 in their last 11 games. They're a game and a half out of that 6th spot, so they're chasing the Nuggets, and that fan base is starving for some playoff.